All right, so let's dive into some of the latest developments at Meta. It appears the company's recent layoffs were just the beginning of a larger restructuring effort. CEO Mark Zuckerberg and his leadership team are now preparing for another round of job cuts. However, this time they're taking a more targeted approach. Rather than widespread layoffs across all departments, Meta is reportedly focusing on employees deemed low performing based on internal performance reviews. This strategy suggests a shift towards a leaner, more performance-driven culture within the tech giant. So for anyone in the software development field, this event's worth paying attention to. We're going to examine the details of Meta's plans and potential impact on the industry and what it could mean for the future of tech talent, and also dive into some other changes that go along with this. So there are some important lessons and implications here for every developer, so let's dive in. Welcome back to Startup Hack. I'm Spencer Thomason. Here at Startup Hack, we love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps, as well as to build custom software solutions for companies. With a decade of executive leadership as a fractional CTO and 25 years of software development, I've mastered transforming technology teams and products. All right, so Meta is playing a game of survivor, right? During COVID, they staffed up like crazy. They hired a ton of people while money was free or almost or near free, and now they're continuing to trim off and gearing up for another round of layoffs, but this time is with a little bit of a twist. They're voting off the lowest performers off the island, and they're doing this based on an internal ranking system. So it's kind of like a corporate version of Survivor. And the lowest performers are gonna get voted off the island now. Now, Zuck is playing the role of the ruthless tech overlord, and he's wielding his axe here, right? Now, keep this in mind. I am super pro-capitalism. So if a company wants to do this and they want to do this, I'm okay with this, because at the same time, they are offering huge severance packages. And frankly, if you're in the lowest performing employees, I kind of don't really have a whole ton of sympathy for you, because like, get your butt to work, right? So it means usually that you're either low performing because you're not working to keep up with skill sets, or you're low performing because you're not working hard enough. So I know it's a little bit cutthroat, but at the same time, like if you're in a corporate environment like this, you've got to make sure you're performing really well. And if you're going to play with the big boys at Facebook, you're going to have to jump in and work really hard. And so there's been a lot of articles coming out about this, but Meta is looking to slash this 5% of its workforce in the latest purge. Now, that's going to work out to about 3,000 jobs if I ran the numbers correctly, right? So there's going to be about 3,000 positions cut. Now, one of the big things about this is, first of all, we don't know. It sounds like it's going to be across the board through all departments. So it looks like they're going to cut 5% of pretty much every department based on performance, right? But critics argue that it's kind of a cold and calculated move. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I am pro-capitalism. I'm a business owner. You know, if people aren't performing, then they're going to need to go, right? Like, that's kind of the game here, right? And so I do understand this. And one of the things that I do respect with this is he is actually going to continue to hire back these positions. So he's not saying he's laying off these 5% just to cut the 5% bottom line. He's just trying to vote off the island those who are not performing well. So they're going to bring back in some A players to try to replace these. Now, the layoffs are part of this, but there's also the LibGen scandal going on right now, and Meta is facing a new scandal. Let me pull up an article here for you really quick. So there's a new report coming out, and it looks like in the race to try to beat OpenAI, they needed to learn how to build Frontier and to win this race. So it's come out with a trove of newly released documents that reveal that Meta's plan was to use book piracy site LibGen to train its AI models. Now, this is a huge major copyright lawsuit coming against Meta right now. I'm not totally sure which side of the fence I'm sitting on this. I think it's going to be interesting to watch this play out, because which is going to win? The greater good for AI to be trained on this material, or is it going to be that copyright laws are going to be upheld? It's going to be kind of an interesting thing, because it seems like everything else in the wake of the AI monster that's coming through, it looks like everything's kind of getting plowed through this right now, and this looks like it's going to be one of the latest. So there's been a whole bunch of emails, and it looks like it went all the way up to Mark Zuckerberg. And it looks like even MZ, or, we're assuming is Mark Zuckerberg, signed off on this, knowing that they were going to be using copyrighted material to be training these models against, right? So we can actually see from these emails that MZ is listed in here, and that they knew that they were going to do this. So these court documents stem from a class action lawsuit that an author is trying to go after Meta for, right? And so I'm really curious to see where this plays out, because part of this that gets really interesting is that Zuckerberg has really been working to try to, push the company towards more masculine energy, right? He's been saying this even publicly that he's trying to drive the company towards a more, getting rid of their DEI program, going on to the Joe Rogan podcast, and he's really trying to work to embrace, back to this masculine energy, right? And he even said, I think a lot of corporate, and this is a quote from Zuckerberg, I think a lot of corporate world is pretty culturally neutered. Masculine energy is good, and obviously society has plenty of that, but I think corporate culture has really, was really trying to get away from it, right? He continues on to say, I think having a culture that celebrates the aggression a bit more has its own merits that are really positive. Now, again, I am pro-capitalism, so I guess this 5% cut for the lowest performers is part of that, right? And I think he's kind of flexing a little bit of his inner Elon Musk to try to show that, he can come in and do more with less, right? Now, again, they are saying that they're going to replace these positions. So he is trying to work on how he's going to make Meta a lot more lean. Now, if your company has systems that aren't connected, let us help you out, because here at Startup Hack, our specialty is connecting systems to help your company work like a well-oiled machine. So check out startuphack.com/Spencer because we can help you out. Now, Mark has, I do one thing that I definitely do disagree with on here is that in the midst of all this chaos, Zuckerberg drops a huge bombshell. He claims that by 2025, Meta will be automating most of its AI code. Now, I've talked a little bit about this before. I think he's, again, trying to flex a little bit of his inner Elon Musk. And Elon's been making promises about AI, thinking of like FSD and other things that he's promised for years that frankly have not come to fruition. So if you can envision a future where human coders are largely obsolete, and of course, this ignites a huge firestorm of debate and backlash across the tech community, because the comments are seen as out of touch and revealing a fundamental misunderstanding of AI's limits, right? Now, the interesting thing about this is Mark Zuckerberg himself has even talked about how expensive how much they have paid to generate the 405 billion input llama models here, right? And so in spending over 100 million, this shows how kind of ludicrous this is to believe that AI is going to take over, the role of like developers, for instance, because if their current model spent over $100 million to build for the current models, and they still haven't produced anything that is anywhere near this. And by the way, I've played with all the Olama models. It's nowhere near what even a junior developer can do, let alone a mid-level developer. Then I'm not really super worried about this. And of course, developers across the world are totally clapping back at Mark Zuckerberg, right? They're pointing out the glaring flaws in his AI will replace coders thesis, right? Let's highlight some of the hubris of tech leaders who haven't coded in decades, right? So this kind of shows that while Mark is saying he's writing a lot of code, I pretty much doubt it, because if he's really writing code, he's going to see the AI as a tool. It's not a panacea, right? It lacks the reasoning and creativity of human devs. Now, Zuck's comments are seen totally as a slap in the face in everybody he's laying off right now, right? Now, Meta's AI ambitions are lofty, and I get it, but are they really grounded in reality? Let's look at kind of AI's track record here a little bit, right? They've poured billions into AI research, right? Billions with a B, but really the concrete results are pretty thin. Even their largest model is good, quote unquote good, but let's kind of like look at how much money they've spent on the metaverse and how successful that's been, right? I mean, don't get me wrong, I do have a Quest and I bought a Quest 3. It's a fun gadget, but I'm certainly not going to strap it on my head to do work, right? So projects like the metaverses definitely have not gained traction, and they are bleeding cash. And I think AI is going to be seen in a similar way. So meanwhile, their core business is totally under threat from TikTok and also from regulatory scrutiny, right? So AI is being presented to the board and to stockholders as a silver bullet, but really Meta's track record isn't so good. So behind the headline grabbing layoff numbers are real human stories, and there's thousands of developers' jobs being lost. So this can't be understated. But again, I am pro-capitalism. So at the end of the day, if you're low performing and you kind of knew this was going to be coming, and you knew Meta was really flexing up with their masculine, their new masculine theology, right? And you see Zuck moving more towards being like Elon Musk, then you had to kind of know that this layoff was coming, right? So Meta's layoffs and Zuck's comments point to a deeper issue, and that's the tech culture. The culture of the founder, where the CEO word is gospel, no matter how they feel about it, right? So this is going to be, and there's a little bit here, right? But we're also back into the AI's real role, right? I want to kind of dive into some other comments because I promise I'm not the only one who feels this way. And if you're really listening to, to those on the ground, you're going to see that this is really a lot of people are feeling this way, right? So let's jump into here really quick because, he reveals his plans to use artificial intelligence to replace mid-level engineers by 2025. Right. Okay. Marking a significant shift in the company's software development strategy. Now, during an appearance on Joe Rogan, again, trying to be a little sensational, Zuckerberg shares that Meta, along with other major tech firms, is working on advanced AI systems designed to handle intricate coding tasks. Look, I've said this for a long time. There's a lot of other jobs that are going to be laid on the chopping block from AI long before software development. I was reviewing some code with a developer today, and it had we were only really looking at a code of about 10,000 lines, but it was actually something that was generating PDFs, CSVs, Excel, and it was being run off of a Docker, and it was using .NET. And so all these different pieces, and we were kind of joking. We're like, yeah, AI would have figured that out, right? And it was a laugh because we knew how far away this actually is, right? There's no way, and this is something I would say a general junior to mid-level developer could be handling, right? But Zuckerberg, is saying that AI generated code will increase. Now, I agree that it's going to increase, but I think there's a lot of posturing here. And I really love this Redis because it made me kind of laugh, right? He also claimed metaverse would do, I don't remember actually what he spent billions on. So clearly he's a very smart man, right? Note the irony here, right? So it's an excuse so investors don't panic when they fire people and don't get their engineering headcount, right? And it's kind of interesting. It's always people who haven't coded in decades or never at all convinced that AI can replace developers. And this I agree with this. Until AI has the ability to reason, they will never be a possibility. And I don't even see it then because I just think that the human context can understand systems better than AI can, right? And somebody's like, I'm pretty sure he writes code or so as he says it does, but I think this is a message meant for investors who don't know any better. And I agree with that, right? So will we all be on his VR platform too, right? I mentioned this one too, right? I think it was 18 months ago that he said that we were all going to strap those things on our face and run around and work with them, right? It all comes full circle. People join the metaverse. You got a metaverse job, there's no way. We're just so far from this. Anyways, it's just really funny too because they're just really gambling on AI, and that's really what they're at right now. Is they can't really quite figure out what the next big thing is. And he just got done hammering on Apple for saying that they're not innovative enough. So he's got to try to look for something edgy and something big. And so they are doing some really good work. Their Llama models are really good. The 3.2 is really good for 3.1 is really good for the large models, and 3.2 for the small models. So I am a fan of their models, but at the same time, it's nowhere near ready to replace developers. We as developers joke all the time, oh, but AI could have done that for us, right? And that's what to us is just really more of a joke at this point. We know AI is a tool. We use it frequently, right? But you have to frequently, I've heard the joke said one time that if that AI can't take over humans because that would mean we'd have to write perfect requirements. As soon as we can write perfect requirements, then AI might have a chance. But how often have you gotten a perfect story? Think about that one, right? So amidst all the hype and fear mongering, it's really crucial to understand that AI does have some true potential, but it's not going to automate everything that we do. AI is a great tool and will help us augment our jobs, but it is not going to replace us, right? The future is human and AI collaboration, not one taking over for the other. Now, I think that there's really an opportunity in the middle of here. If you want to make a ton of money, definitely start working on how to code with AI, right? And in every crisis right now, if you're one of these getting laid off from Meta, my advice would be dive into learning some of this, because chances are if you'd learned some of that, you probably wouldn't have got laid off from Meta anyways. If you'd been working on some of the AI projects, very likely you wouldn't have. I seriously doubt their AI projects are going to get cut by 5%. In fact, what we may actually see, and my guess would be that we'll see when all the dust settles, is that you're going to see that 5% cut from all of the other projects and dumped into AI. And I think that's part of the way they're going to do it is cut 5% off all the projects and add all those 5% headcount back into the AI projects. So way forward as developers is we have a choice in how we want to respond to these tectonic shifts. We can buy into the gloom and doom and the fear of AI making us obsolete, or we can embrace the change, seeing it as a chance to level up our skills. So we got to become not just coders, but strategic, AI fluent problem solvers, right? So the path forward is one of continuous learning, adaptability, and a growth mindset. We can't stick our head in the sand and just say, oh, AI sucks and I'm not going to use it. That's not going to help either. It's not about fighting the machines, but it's learning to dance with them. So what are your thoughts? Do you agree? Do you disagree? I'd love to have a great discussion. So make sure you leave a comment and make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Here at Startup Hack, we'd love to train software developers in our licensed coding boot camps. And I've got some great information for you here. So check this out.
Want to become a software developer, but don't want to spend 4 years in college and rack up massive student loan debts? Think you need technical expertise to get started? Welcome to Startup Hack, a better way to start your software career without student loans and years without income. One-on-one tutoring is included so you never get stuck and have guidance through the whole process. No technical experience is necessary. Learn at your own pace and in your own space. Startup Hack has worked with local state agencies in your area to make it so that qualifying students can get the program costs covered entirely and students can start earning while they learn.
Hi, I'm Jacob, and I completed the full stack development course offered by Startup Hack. One thing setting Startup Hack apart from any other coding bootcamp was the quality of one-on-one tutoring available. All of the projects that we did were challenging and thought-provoking, but left me feeling very accomplished and very prepared for my first job that I was offered just days after completing the program.
Hello, I'm Tom, and I completed the full stack development course offered by Startup Hack, and I must say that it was an excellent experience. The tutors is what set this course apart from others. They were knowledgeable, experienced, and always available to help provide me with guidance and support. Do not hesitate to take advantage of this affordable and efficient software development course.
Complete our 3-month coding bootcamp, gain hands-on experience, and land a paid internship. With 2 years of experience on average, our graduates are making over $80,000 per year. The 3-month program includes technologies from Microsoft, Google, and Facebook. No debt, just a quick path to earning. Check out startuphack.com to code